Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Good evening again to all of you.
Investigará el caso. Para arruinarla.
Hello, teacher.
Hello, hello.
How are
Hello,
you?
teacher.
De esa
Hi.
manera,
Hello. How is it going? How are
los
you today?
Hello,
How are you, teacher?
good evening.
Very well, teacher. Thank
Okay, very good. No, I'm fine too. I'm fine too. So here we are going to continue talking. Yeah, we are going to continue talking the topic related to teaching and listening. All right. So today, as you can see on the slide, this is the title of the lesson. Today, we're going to talk about some strategies that good listeners and obviously our students must develop in the class. No? We as a teachers, we have to make our students develop these strategies, all right? And we are going to analyze these ones, all right? Now, the second part of this session of today is related to some activities that we are going to develop in the pre-listening stage. No, as you know, and we were talking about this topic the last sessions. When we talk about skill lessons, no, when we talk about skill lessons, we have three stages. No, can you tell me what are the three stages? One of them is here, pre-listening. The other is, pre, no? Pre, then we have the, can you tell me, the three stages of a lesson when we talk about skill lessons? Could be listening, reading, writing, speaking. We're gonna have three stages. One of them is the pre. The other one, what are the other two stages? Pre,
Listening strategies and source.
yeah, all right. So this is one part, not the strategies, but the three stages in a skill lesson. Oh, but remember, obviously, when we
Why listening? Why listening?
excellent, that's it. While, and then the third stage is
Post listen.
yeah, post. Excellent. That's it. All right. So notice with all the skills, not just with the listening, because for example, when we talk about reading, so we talked about these three stages too, right? Pre-reading, while reading, and post-reading. And we analyzed and we talked about different activities that we could develop in each stage, right? So in the pre-reading, while reading, and post-reading. So we are going to do here with this skill something similar, right? Some of the activities are similar. Now you're going to change the type of language, right? From written language to the oral language. Yeah, but some of them are similar. So we are going to talk about these parts, okay? So we are going to start. Yeah, we are going to start with the first part that is related to the strategies. Remember that the last class we were talking about this kind of activity, right? Can you remember what was it about? Can you remember? Remember that the last class we were talking about the differences between authentic material and pedagogic material, right? And then at the end, we could get an agreement that as a teachers, we have to mix, no? We have to make a blend between authentic and pedagogic, no? So we analyze some advantages and disadvantages too, no? So remember this activity was related to listen, no? To somebody else's conversation, to other people's conversation, no? And here you have this, no, this situation that you have to develop, no? So this is one of the activities that we could do in order to develop the listening skill, all right? So we were talking about it. No, this is just to review, no? Here, this aspect of authentic and pedagogic material, no? So you combine, you have to combine, you have to mix authentic material with the pedagogic material, all right? Okay, now, So we are going to start with this aspect of this session, strategies good listeners use. So as I told you before, as a teacher, we have or we must develop these strategies to our students because they are going to be the listeners. Maybe they have some strategies, but not all of them, all right? So we must make our students develop these kind of strategies. But let's start by analyzing this, and you have to tell me your ideas. What is a strategy? Can you tell me your ideas? What do you mean by a strategy? Tell me please your ideas. What is a strategy for you?
Manners.
Yeah, manners. Manners. Manners about what?
It is.
Ways of learning.
Oh, Gabriel, again, please.
Ways of learning.
Ways of learning. Yeah. All right. Anybody else?
A plan of action.
Flor, again, please. A plan?
A plan of action.
Or action. Yes. Anybody? Anybody? Someone else?
Ways to do something.
Ways to do something. Yes. Anybody else? Ways to do something, plans and actions to do, ways of learning. What else? Something else that you could add to strategy? What is it? Remember that we use this word not also to learn something. No, we apply this term to many fields of our life, no? Not just for learning or teaching, no? But here we are going to focus on the terms of learning and teaching, no? But remember that this word is also used in many aspects of our life, no? In sports, you use it in a sport. For example, if a coach of a football team wants to beat another team, so he plans a strategy, right? So let's see here. We are going to analyze some concepts related to strategy. Remember that we are going to focus, as you can see and as you told me, we're going to focus more on the aspect of learning and teaching, right? So let's start. Look at this concept of a strategy of a famous person who is a famous professor, yeah, around the world that is gone and also is a linguist. Yeah? He says that a strategy is the conscious activities that learners take to comprehend, recall, and memorize information. Notice this term, this concept of a strategy. Conscious is a conscious situation, a conscious activities that our students, the learners, are going to take to comprehend, to understand, recall, and memorize information, all right? So this is one of the concepts related to strategy. Let's pass to another concept. Now this is Al-Mirani from 2012. So this person says that strategies are techniques or activities that contribute directly to the comprehension and recall of listening input. Remember that we are going to talk about more listening strategies, all right? Listening strategies. So according to this person, as I repeat again, they are techniques, activities that we are going to use to comprehend, to have a comprehension and recall. No, recall is to remember, yeah? And recall listening input, all right? So remember, listening input is what we receive, all right? All that we receive. And we are going to analyze another concept related to strategy. There is no general consensus on this, although a number of writers such as Alsford, Chalmers, O'Malley agree that strategies consist of conscious deliberate behavior which enhances learning and allows the learner to use information more effectively. So according to these people, because here we have a lot of writers, what are the strategies? They are conscious and deliberate behaviors. All right? And what is the purpose of these behaviors? To enhance learning. So to increase, to motivate learning, all right? To improve learning. How? Allowing the learner to use information more effectively. That's the way that you're going to increase, to improve your learning, because you are going to using these strategies, you're going to use information, so the input that you receive, more effectively. That's why here says good listeners. So because these people, these learners, these students are going to apply some techniques, some activities, conscious, in order to get better the information and use it at the same time better, all right? So these are the concepts related to a strategy. Remember, so summarizing or summing up, you could say that a strategy is a conscious activity or technique. Sometimes we could here differentiate a strategy and technique, but sometimes they are similar, all right? So activities or techniques, conscious activities or techniques that contribute to our learning, all right? How this is helpful for our learning, because these strategies are going to make us recall and receive and memorize the information and use this information better, effectively. All right? So these are the strategies. So here we are going to analyze, now we are going to analyze some types of strategies. So here you have the first one is the cognitive, then we have the metacognitive, and finally we have the socio-affective strategies, right? So we have three: cognitive, metacognitive, and socio-affective strategies. Let's analyze each each of them. So do you have an idea what would be the cognitive strategies? What is a cognitive strategy? What is a cognitive strategy? Anybody, anybody?
Knowledge, when you use the prior knowledge.
Yeah, you use the prior knowledge, your knowledge. Yeah, all right, all right. Any other one? Cognitive strategy. No, no. No, tell me what you know. No, this is, remember, we are applying some techniques. No, I'm asking you to tell me your background knowledge. What do you know about these terms? The idea you have. It doesn't matter if it is correct or incorrect. Try to tell me. Then we're going to check, verify, and see if you're right or wrong, or maybe you are close. No? So this is the most important here, to share information, all right? So anybody else? Cognitive, knowledge. Your partner says it related to the knowledge. Anybody else? Anybody else? No, no. Okay, so we are going to analyze this, all right? Let's see. Cognitive strategies are the strategies which are useful to self-regulate our learning. It included the attempt to plan, to check, monitor, select, revise, and evaluate. So these are the cognitive strategies. So we are going to regulate our learning with these strategies. All right? Remember, we're talking about the strategies. So activities. Remember, strategies are the activities or techniques. So these activities, these techniques are going to be used as a self-regulation. They are going to self-regulate our learning. So we are going to plan, we are going to check, we are going to monitor, select, revise, and evaluate. So these are the cognitive strategies. Now, metacognitive, oh, yeah, so here I think there is a mistake, yeah? Let me check, just a minute. Oh, what's happening? No. Oh. Yeah, no, I think there is a mistake here. Yeah, so we are going to talk about it. Remember, cognitives are related to the knowledge, so your partner says. We're going to use some strategies to recover information, to get information, all right, in order to increase our knowledge. So here we're going to analyze the language, right, the vocabulary, the structures, and so on, all right? So these are the cognitive. Now, in the metacognitive, we are going to analyze how we learn. No, remember, this is the metacognition. How we learn, how we are acquiring this knowledge, all right? The process, which strategies we are using in order to learn, and we are going to evaluate these strategies, these activities. Yeah? This is the metacognitive, yeah? Because here I think the slide is incorrect. Yeah? Something happened with the words. And the socio-affective, yeah, the socio-affective is related to the interaction that we have. No, because when we learn, we're gonna have some interaction with other people. For example, you interact with the teacher, with your students, maybe with other member of the school. So you're interacting, and also it refers to our mood, our emotions, our feelings, all right? That's why here says that is the socio-affective, all right? So don't forget here the three strategies. Remember, strategies are the activities, all right? The activities that we are going to use, yeah? The activities that we are going to use in order to improve, increase our learning. So cognitive strategies are the activities, that techniques that we use to get information, to analyze the information. In this case, the language, all right? All right, so here the three strategies, remember, the three strategies are related to the first one. Cognitive is related to the language, the analysis, how to get the information, all right? How to get the information, how we are going to analyze the language, and this is the cognitive, remember, cognition. So here we're going to use these activities to get the information, how we receive the information and analyze the language. No, could be the structure, the vocabulary. So these aspects, this is the cognitive, all right, cognition, learning. No, so we are going to learn a language in this case, all right? Now, the metacognitive are related to how we are going to analyze how we are going to learn, which activities or strategies are we using, if they are good or they are not so good, they are effective or not, what I need to improve. So this is the metacognitive. Remember that this is related to the term metacognition, is when you evaluate your learning. How, no? This is how you're learning. So you're analyzing what activities, what strategies are you using to learn something. In this case, to acquire these skills, no, listening skills. And the other one, the socio-affective, yeah, the socio-affective are related to the interaction, no, that we are going to use to learn. For example, in a classroom, you interact, no, the learner, the student interacts with with other students, with a teacher, and also maybe when he goes to her house, also they interact with other people too, right? In order to learn. And also it's related to the emotions, feelings that these people have, all right? So here you have some relationship with the mood, all right, with the interest, with the motivation, and you're going to acquire some activities, no? Some activities in order to improve your learning, to increase your learning, all right? So here you have these three kind of strategies, no? The slide, I think it was a mistake on the slide. There was here some words that are not correct. So I'm talking to you, right? So don't forget, cognitive strategies are related to the process of learning, how you get information, how you analyze this information, right? Metacognitive is how you use these activities, these techniques, if they are effective or not, all right? And then the socio-affective is related to your interaction, all right? The interaction. What activities, what strategies do you use in order to interact? And at the same time, you are learning, all right? And also related to your emotions, your feelings, okay? Your interest, your motivation. So here we have these three types of strategies, all right? So don't forget about these ones. Cognitive, metacognitive, and socio-affective strategies, okay? So the three, we are going to use the three in order to acquire, yeah, in order to acquire a better learning, all right? You don't just say the cognitive, no, because you analyze, yes, when you listen, for example, let's say, imagine that we're in a class, no? Students listen, the teachers prepare some pre-activities in order the students to activate their schemata. So this is the cognitive, all right? But what about the metacognitive? So maybe the teacher, so how could you listen, or what strategy, what activity, or what supports your answer? So the students analyze how he or she interprets the information, not just give the answer. No, yeah, teacher, yeah, he's 12. Yeah, this is the cognitive, no, because he is receiving the information and giving an answer, all right? But how? This is the metacognitive, all right? And the socio-affective is the interaction, right? So if the teacher is empathetic and the students too, no, there is a good environment in the classroom. So the learning is increasing, all right? The learning is increasing. So notice, all these aspects, these strategies must work together to have a better learning, all right? The learning, the process of learning and teaching is better when you apply these three kind of strategies, all right? So here we are going to analyze now some ideas, yeah? Some ideas for teaching listening strategies. So we are going to analyze some of them because we have a lot, yeah, but we are going to analyze some of them, all right? So here you have the strategy. So the activity, remember, or technique. So the strategy is be ready and have a plan to achieve a given task. So this is the strategy. So how could you teach that strategy to your students? So you can ask concept questions. So what is a concept question? Question that asks students to show they understand ideas rather than recall facts, no? So these are the concept questions. If they can, recall, they understand ideas, not just giving factual information. No. If they understand ideas, all right? So you can ask. Similar to what I'm talking to you, that I asked to you. Oh, what is a strategy for you? And you give me, some ideas. All right? If you give me some ideas, your knowledge. So this is Yeah, the how to teach, how to teach this strategy. When can we teach this strategy? Before the students listen. And this is similar to what I did, right? Before passing to the topic of a strategy, yeah, please don't forget to turn off your microphones.
Sí, mi amor, ya. Hay mala conexión.
All right, okay. Yeah, so here, where is the moment that you could teach this strategy before students listen? Remember, this is to activate the schemata, all right? What is that type of test? What kind of listening test could I give to my students? Any listening test, no? So, because this is before, all right? Before your listening test, you apply this strategy. So how can you teach them to develop this strategy? By asking questions, concept questions. They have ideas about it, all right? About a topic of the listening, all right? So they are not going to give you factual information, right? Now, this is one of the strategies. Remember, be ready and have a plan to achieve a given task. Now, the other strategy. Oh, what's happening here? Yeah, use word knowledge to predict what will be said. How can we teach this strategy? Use KWL charts. Can you remember about that? We talked about these charts in the previous module in the reading lesson. Can you remember? KWL charts. Can you remember? Anybody can tell me what is it about? KWL charts. Yes or no? Try to recall. Try to remember. No, nobody? Aha, Dominique Gabriel says, know what I know, learning. Yeah, you're close, Gabriel. Yes. Aha. Yeah, close. Anybody else? Know what I know, learning. Yeah, you are close, Gabriel. You are close. Anybody,
It's
please.
a chart, teacher.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yes, I told you it's a chart, but what is it about? What does it mean, KWL? And I also show you some pictures about this chart.
What I already know.
Uh-huh, excellent. What is the other?
What I want to know.
Uh-huh, what I want to know. And the last?
And what I have learned.
Yes, very good. Yes. So remember, what I know, this is a K. What I want to know, your expectations, this is a W. And what I've learned, so at the end. So this is the metacognition. You are going to analyze, what did you learn? All right. So KW earned. So we're going to notice this chart in order to pull knowledge of the topic. So we are going to give our students headlines, titles, and they predict additional content before listening. Notice this is before listening. So when to teach it? Before listening and discuss. It could be used also at the end, no? Because they have to complete the third column of the table, no? The chart. So they have to analyze what they have learned, all right? So, but most of the time we apply this strategy before listening, all right? So what is that type of test? So we could use here factual tests. For example, news, discussion of a topic, or lectures, all right? So similar to us, no? Lectures. Okay, so notice this is the second strategy. Use word knowledge to predict what will be said, all right? And what are we going to use? Here's some charts, no? One of the most famous is the KWL charts, no? What I know, so your previous knowledge, your background knowledge, what I want to know, your expectations about a topic, and what I learn is at the end, no? When you are going to acquire some information or some knowledge. Okay, so here we have these two strategies. Notice, let's continue. We're going to analyze more strategies. The other one, use linguistic knowledge to predict what will be said. Notice here how to teach it. Here you have another activity. Notice we're analyzing here the strategies and the activities that we're going to use to develop this, this strategy. So we could use gut feel exercise. Do you know what does it mean? What it means? Do you know what it means? Gut feel exercise? Gut feel exercise? No, nobody?
With the spaces, we
Aha, yes. Gap, remember, gap means space, no? So they must complete the spaces. In simple words, is they have to complete the spaces in blank. This is the gap filling exercise. No? So when we can use this, or when we can teach this strategy, so you can use it before listening, no? Or after a first listening. Right? So here we are going to use the linguistic knowledge to predict what will be said. So they must complete with some words. No? That's why we say here linguistic knowledge, because we're going to test their vocabulary, all right? And also structures. If they use a verb, a noun, an adjective, a preposition. That's why here says use linguistic knowledge to predict. So with this exercise, they could get some information about the topic. No? If you use it before, so they can predict. And after the first listening, so at the first time they could listen to the audio and they can predict or guess what is or what the topic will be about. All right? What type of test? Any listening test. All right? So we could use any listening test. That's good, Luis. Completing missing words. Excellent. This is the gut feeling exercise. Very good. Now, let's pass to the other strategy. Monitor performance while listening. Notice, monitor performance while listening. So how to teach it? Pause at regular intervals during the listening to check comprehension. Then ask questions such as, who said, why, what is the topic? So notice here, this is that the teacher is going to monitor the performance, how well they are comprehending the test, not the listening test. And when to teach it? During. No, this is an activity strategy that you use during or while listening stage, all right? And it is taught occasionally as it interrupts the listening experience and can frustrate the students. So this is the disadvantage, no? This is the disadvantage. Because they are listening, you interrupt this experience of listening, and some students could be frustrated. So you have to do it carefully, no? You don't have to pause a lot of times, no? Maybe 1, 2, no, 3, no more, all right? Because if you interrupt a lot of times to check, this listening is not good, all right? So because it's not natural, it has so many interruptions. So you can check this or monitor, because the purpose of this is to monitor, no? They are understanding what they are listening, all right? So you can ask some questions, no? Who said that? Why? Or what is the topic? No? Okay, so what about that type of test? It can be done with any listening test, especially listening for gist, all right? So here we have this sub skill, no? Can you remember what is listening for gist? We talked about it.
General idea.
Aha, yeah, to get the general idea. Yes, very good. No, this is listening for gist. To get the main idea of the test. No, in this case, the listening test. When I say test, don't think that it's written because we are talking about listening. So to get the general idea of the test, the listening test, no? The oral language. All right? Okay, so here we have these other two. Now we are going to continue with more strategies with different activities. Pick out only salient points, ignoring irrelevant details. This is one strategy. How to teach it? Give tasks that require listening for detail. Use again, here you could use again, gut feeling exercises. Now we are going to change the sub skill. The previous one was listening for gist, to get the general idea. Now is listening for detail. So they must understand every detail, every piece of information from the test. They are listening. And one of the ways that we could check that is using gut feeling exercises. No? So when to teach it? During while listening tasks, as the teacher explains what the students must listen for. No? So here you have a support, all right? With the teacher explanation, what the student must listen for, okay? Now, the type of test, you could use announcements and other lists of information, no? Because they must understand every detail, no? Every detail of the information. So you could use announcements or lists of informations, all right? So this is the kind of material that you could use in order to develop this strategy. Remember, and you use some activities, some tasks, no? In order to do that. Now, the other one, let's continue with the other one. Another one is taking notes, write down relevant information. So here you're going to practice writing information quickly. Ask students to identify keywords in full sentences. Give students who, where, what, why charts. No, this is another kind of charts. Explain note-taking system. So notice here, the strategy is that they have to take notes and write down relevant information. What are you practicing here? That they must write quickly, right? Write information quickly. So they need to identify, keywords in full sentences. So we could provide them some charts in order to identify the information, right? In order to identify the information. And also we could explain students or learners how they are going to take notes. No? For example, you could say, yeah, now you're going to take notes of these listening tests. Please try to write down phrases, not sentences. Now, this is one way they can write quickly, because if they want to write the sentence, the whole sentence, so it would be difficult and complicated. So you must explain how to take notes. Try to give maybe verbs or nouns, no, or some adjectives, no, some keywords. That's why here says keywords, no, in full sentence. So they mustn't write full sentences because they're just taking notes. Relevant information, all right? And also you give them, in order to help them to identify relevant information, so you have who, where, what, why, so they could get just this information and the others are irrelevant, all right? When to teach it? pre-listening advice on what the note done or how to write it, and requires extended feedback after listening, all right? So you must check, no, this is the feedback. So you must check with them if the notes were right or wrong, and then they are going to expand these notes into full sentences maybe, right? So this is when you're going to use this. The type of tests, what kind of material could you use to develop this strategy? Use factual tests. For example, news, discussions of a topic, and lectures. No? For example, this strategy I think is for more advanced level students, no? Because if you're giving this kind of a strategy to basic level students, so they're going to have a lot of troubles. No? Maybe you could do it, but just for very short listening tests, right? And just take into account some every specific information. No? But my advice is to develop this in more advanced levels of students, all right? Now, let's pass to the other strategies. Here you have a note, a difficult word or name, check later. So how to teach it? Help students to make a guess based on a phonetic. Here you use the phonetic aspect. Requires a hint before listening and then post-listening feedback. It is useful as practice for exam situation. So notice here, they are going to identify difficult words or names, and then they are going to check it. So how we are going to teach this or develop this strategy? So we have to help our students to make a guess based on phonetic sounds. So we must give them some sounds in order to recognize the word, all right? So they could guess what is the word about. That type of test, you could use factual test. Again, here you have the news, a news broadcast, discussion of a topic, and lectures. So this is the type of material that you could use, all right? Then you have the other strategy, listen for keywords for topic identification. So you must ask students to pick out words belonging to a lexical set. Lexical set is a group of words related to each other. Yeah? This is a lexical set. So they have a relationship, right? So we have some categories. Yeah? So when can you do that? After the first listening. So they are going to identify, no? They are going to identify some keywords, and at the same time, they are going to identify that topic of what they are listening. What is the type of material or type of test? Factual test and songs. For example, this is the most useful technique, no, that we use in order to motivate our students to listen, right? When we use songs, all right? So notice here they are going to identify, no? Listen for keywords, no? Keywords in order to identify the topic. And so here you use this kind of material. And the other strategy is check with other listeners. So how to teach it? Students compare their answers. You made your students listen something, no? After listening, because this is just after listening, and they must answer some questions, no? They have to answer some questions. So now, after this, compare your answers. If they're right, if you agree or disagree. So this is another strategy to reinforce, no? To reinforce what they understood, to check with other listeners. That type of test, any listening test, no? So here we don't have any difference, all right? So notice this strategies: note a difficult word, listen for keywords for topic identification, and check with other listeners. And here you have some activities that we could use to develop these strategies. Another one that you have here is ask for clarification. How to teach it? Teach phrases. Could you repeat what you said about? What do you mean by? So you must give students opportunities to ask. All right? So as a teacher, we must give them some expressions, phrases to use in class if they couldn't understand something what they heard. All right, so here you have some examples. No? Could you repeat what you said about, or what do you mean by? All right, so notice these expressions, these phrases are so useful to ask for clarification if they couldn't understand so well what they were listening. When to teach it? Before listening or require face-to-face communication. Type of test, you could use stories, fact or fiction, and anecdotes. No? So notice here, you have the kind of material. Now, remember, these are ideas. It doesn't mean that in order to do that, you have to do this exactly. No, 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 all right? So these are ideas. How can you develop these kind of strategies, no? The different activities that you could use. Okay, then we are going to analyze more related to activities when we pass to the pre-listening activities. Now we are going to analyze these activities deeply. All right. So remember here, yeah, this is the first part. This is related to the strategy. The strategy is the activity that we use to increase, to improve our learning. It's a conscious, it's a conscious activity or behavior. No, remember that one of the authors says that it was a behavior, no, a conscious behavior to increase, to improve, to get a better knowledge of what we are learning. In this case, the listening, no? To a better comprehension of what we listen. All right. Okay. Now, here we have to continue with the other. Reconstruct orally or in writing. Do dictogloss activities. So what is the dictogloss activities? Tell a story or anecdote at full speed several times. Students work together to reconstruct the story. This is one idea, one example. This is, I think, for the most advanced level students, a story, a complete story, but you could use also sentences, all right? Then I'm gonna show you a video about this dictogloss. So when to teach it? While listening task. What could you use? Use stories, facts, or fiction, and anecdotes. So this is the famous dictogloss. And here the last one is listen for transition points. How to teach it? Teach linking expressions and devices. So on the other hand, furthermore, yeah, those are the linking expressions and devices. Pause after the expression and ask the students what comes next. So they must predict what is the next part. No? You stop, you make a pause after these linkings, after these devices, no? And you could ask to your students, what comes next? What will it be next after this phrase or expression? No? So this is the linking words. No? So on the other hand, furthermore, however, nevertheless, moreover, no? So you have a lot of linking devices or connectors. No, we call this connectors. All right. When to teach it? Before listening could be used before listening, or the test can be posed during a second listening. Type of tests, use factual tests, news discussion of a topic and lectures, or you could use also stories, fact or fiction, and anecdotes. All right. So you have here these strategies, and I'm going to show you before passing to the next part, and then we are going to talk about it. I'm going to show you a video about this activity, this dictogloss. Yeah, let me share it, please. Just a minute. Yeah. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna show you here. Yeah, okay, can you watch it? Yes, tell me you can watch it.
Yes, teacher.
All right, so notice how this teacher used dictogloss. This is dictation, all right?
The next activity is a dictation activity with a twist. It's a great one to get the students concentrating and really helps them to focus on a particular language point. The model sentences from the Gateway Grammar Guides are ideal to use. We're going to do an activity now which is like a dictation, okay, but it's a little bit different. I am going to dictate one long sentence to you, but it's important, when I dictate the sentence, you cannot write anything. When I finish, you have to try and remember what I said. It might be difficult, but don't worry because we'll do it more than once. Okay, so let's see how much you remember. You ready? Although I've already been to the United States twice, I haven't visited Hollywood yet, despite the fact that I'm mad about films. Go. See what you can remember. It's a good idea to try to reduce the panic factor, which is one of the major difficulties that students have when they do listening exercises. Right, we're going to do the same thing again. So pen down, I'll repeat the sentence, and again, look at your sentence. Can you make it better? Okay, or is it perfect already? Ready? Although I've already been to the United States, I would like a volunteer. The volunteer has an easy job because the volunteer doesn't have to think much, they just write. Who wants to be the volunteer? Irene, do you want to come? And so you don't need your piece of paper, because what is going to happen now is you, as a class, you are going to dictate to Irene, and she will write whatever you say. If you think Irene has made a mistake or something, you can tell her. Okay, who would like to help? Who would like to begin dictating to Irene? Daniel?
Also, I have been twice. You have to write already
Between have and
between have and been.
Here.
Yes.
The sentence I'm using here was chosen so that students would focus on yet and already with the present perfect, and also the linker despite. And you'll notice how well the task makes them focus on this language.
Stays, but I haven't visited.
What do you think? This is a democratic decision.
I think there's only a comma.
But is for a contrast, isn't it? One of the nice features of this activity is that the whole class work together and help each other to come up with the final answer. I don't know, we'll check at the end, but maybe if you have although and but, the two words are similar. Are we happy? We're happy with this sentence? Okay, let's have a look. Thank you, Irene. Right, despite now, this is to introduce a contrast. And in fact, the expression that I said is despite the fact. Actually, here, I would suggest dictating the sentence one last time and let the class check the final answer that way. So there is a contrast there. We followed this activity by examining the difference in use between already and yet with the present perfect. Because the students have been memorizing the sentence and concentrating hard on it, they're really focused on the grammar and structure of the sentence and on spelling. One of the reasons I like this activity so much is that it provides us with language work, listening, writing, and speaking all in the one task.
All right. Okay, so what do you think about this activity? Tell me your ideas.
It's a good way, teacher, for learning.
Yeah? What else? What else? Tell me more.
I enjoy a lot
All right. Why did you enjoy it?
because you have to think what the teacher was talking about, and then you have to write. And if you forgot something, it's like, okay, yeah, it's really funny.
All right. I noticed something important, right? That this activity is not passive, no, not just listening and write, no, because the teacher makes the students give the sentence to another partner, right? So it produces an interaction, right? Oh no, you're wrong. You have to correct that. No, I think it's a comma here. No, you forgot that. No, you changed that. Maybe the person who is writing, if you could notice her face, she wasn't in a good mood, right? Because she was to correct again, no, at the other one. But notice here there is an interaction. So this is one of the activities that we could use in order to develop this listening, right? And also not just listening. What was the purpose of the teacher? Just to get this listening skill?
No, writing skill too.
Yeah, there is something else, something else. What was the purpose? He explained at the end of the video.
Competition between the students.
Yeah, the interaction. Okay, what else? What is? There is something else.
To learn the grammar.
Exactly. Notice the linguistic knowledge. No, this is the linguistic knowledge. So, oh yeah, already, yet, yeah. So the present perfect. You notice the sentence was constructed or was made up with the present perfect tense and the expressions that we use in the present perfect tense. So notice here, this is the famous activity called dictogloss. All right, remember, this is dictogloss. So it's not just dictation, no, because oh yeah, it's a dictation, but it's not a common dictation, right? That you dictate, say a sentence, and your students have to write, and at the end of the class, they have to give you the paper, no? Or maybe you can check the sentences in front of the board. But now here you're giving the students opportunity to give their own ideas, all right, their own ideas in order to make up the sentence. And at the end, the teacher says, no, that you made this part and this part, also this part, all right? Okay, so this is one of the activities, and then we are going to talk about more. Now, we are going to continue with the slides. Now we are going to talk about the different sources of listening, all right? What kind of sources can you imagine for listening? Can you tell me? In other words, remember, listening means that we are going to receive the information, right? So we have this, we call this the input. What types of input does the listener receive? From who or what? This is the source, right? From who or what they are going to receive this information, this input.
From the teacher.
Yes, the teacher. What else?
Maybe the news? Environment.
The environment, yeah, all right. Aaron?
The news, maybe the radio.
Yes, the radio, the news, all right. Something more? Something else?
Music.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you.
Music.
Music.
Music, songs, all right. No more, no more. Videos, excellent, Indira, videos. No more, no more. Okay, so yes, you were right. So remember, the different kind of inputs that the students, the listeners are going to receive are from the teacher. This is one of them, yeah? The teacher, Yeah? The teacher's talk. But we are going to identify 3 different talks of the teacher. We have a planned input, when the teacher is going to give instructions, some specific information. Yeah, this is the planned input because the teacher is going to plan what he is going to say, what he is going to talk. So, yeah, tomorrow I have to tell to my students to complete this, and then we have to do that. So you plan this, no? You plan your talking, all right? This is the planned input. And specifically, we use this planned input to give some information, to give instructions, all right? The second one is the semi-planned, when we use, for example, photos or anecdotes, and we start talking or describing the photos, right? And our students must listen to us. Yeah? Or you use some pictures in order to tell a story or an anecdote, all right? So this is the semi-planned. Yeah, it's not specifically an instruction or a specific information. No? You are talking about something, you're describing about something, and they must listen to you. This is the semi-plan. Then we have the spontaneous input, words of encouragement, no? Witty comments, gossip, on the spot classroom management. Okay, good, very good. That's a good job. And the students listen. Oh yeah, my teacher is giving me encourage. Oh yeah, I did it well. Okay, I must continue. So notice commands, all right? Gossip. Maybe you can talk to, oh, sorry, did you write your answer? Yes, okay, you have 2 minutes, hurry up. And notice you're giving some gossip on the spot classroom management. Please, students, take it easy, calm down. So you are giving here then the spot classroom management. You didn't plan, right? So notice here the 3 kinds of inputs that we are going to give to our student as a teachers. Planned input, semi-planned, and spontaneous inputs, all right? So this is the first source of listening for our students. The other one, and I think neither of you mentioned, but it is also important when you interact. Remember, sometimes we says, listen, yeah, this is a passive, no? Passive skill. No, remember. So listening could be active too. So there must be an interaction, not just the teacher and the student. So also the partners, the students talk. So when they start a conversation, they must listen to each other, right? So they must listen to each other to give an answer, and if they understand or not. So this is the students' talk. So here you also have a planned, semi-planned, and a spontaneous talk from the teacher. The same happen with the students, all right? For example, when you give some instructions or information how they are going to speak, no? Or what expressions to use specifically. So this is a planned, semi-planned. You give some indication, but this is more, this is free, all right? And the other is spontaneous when they have these chattings. No, oh yeah, did you do the homework? Oh, I forgot. Oh, sorry, silence. The teacher is coming. So notice this is a spontaneous input. Notice we have this similar to the teacher. No, planned, semi-planned, and spontaneous talk from the students, each other, all right? Each other. The other source is guest speaker. Maybe this kind of situations is more difficult, no? But you can have this, that you could invite a guest, specifically a native speaker, all right? When you invite a native speaker to the class. So this could be stimulating for students because they are going to hear to a native person with an older accent, another kind of a speech, no, another kind of a speed, rhythm, no? And it could be a relatively controlled environment. The teacher could control that. Maybe first he talked, no, with his guests, and they discuss what they are going to talk, no? So that's why he says that it's a relatively controlled environment. they have the opportunity, students have the opportunity to hear about foreign culture, and also the language is semi-plan or unplanned. So notice here, this is another source, all right? When you invite a native speaker to your class. And I told you, and as I told you, it could be difficult, but if you had the opportunity to do it, try it, all right? You can try it. So your students will be very happy, right? For example, when I teach at the university, my students, once there was a native speaker, a native teacher, so they were so excited. So they were talking to me, teacher, one native speaker is going to teach us. Ah, yes, so you could get the most from him. So no, they get stimulated, all right? Because they are going to listen to a native person, right? This is another stimulus. Okay, now this is one of the sources, another source of listening. Now, the other ones is that we usually use, right? As a teacher, the textbook recordings, you know, the audio that we have from the books, if we are using a book, no? So here we have that these kind of recordings of listening tests are varied, no? We have a lot of topics on this kind of listening tests. So we also have a listening sequence. So we have some activities, no, to do pre, while, and pause. So this is a sequence, yeah? Not just listen and that's it, no. So we have some activities to do, all right? Then we have the other one that is the integration within the syllabus. So these audios are related that we are going to teach, no? With the vocabulary, the grammar, the lexical items that we are going to use in the class. And also it is on the syllabus in your program. And we also have the opportunity to watch or make our students read the transcript in order to check if they are listening well or not. No? So at the end of the book, maybe some books, no? Some books have at the end of the book the transcript, no? The transcript of the dialogues, the conversation, the speeches. No? So we have this, all right? So notice this is another source of listening. The other is what you told me, no? The media, songs, internet. No? Nowadays it's very common to use the internet. So we have here, as you told me, you know, the radio, the TV, or a video, or you could use some platforms or channels on the internet. One of the most common is the YouTube, no? When they watch videos and also listen to songs, no, or tutorials. Now, also you could use the podcasts here, right? So you have a lot of tools in order to practice listening here. So let's analyze. So these kind of source, because this is a source, are frequently authentic. Topic and visual aspect, because we're going to make a relation with the images, pictures, you know, if they watch a video tutorial or news, maybe on TV on a channel, so that you have a visual aspect to not just the audio, also the visual aspect. Then you have that they involve the art and emotion, no? When we make our students to listen to songs, so they think the song is enjoyable, memorable, and stimulating for the students, all right? And on the internet, you can have a lot of activities, a lot of listening tests, questions, answer, and explanations. The students can practice listening along in their own time. If they use the internet, they can do it when they want, you know, when they have time. So according to the speed, all right? So notice all the characteristics of these sources. So we have the teachers talk, then we have the students talk, then a guest, if you had the possibility to do it, no? A guest, a native speaker. Then we have the textbook audio, textbook recordings, and then we have the media, songs, and the internet. So notice all the sources that we could use to practice or develop listening skill, all right? Now, remember, when we talk about listening sequence, as I told you before, we're gonna have these three stages: the pre-listening, while listening, and post-listening. Now, this is similar what we talked about in the reading lesson, reading skill: pre, while, and post. So this is the three main stages. No? In the pre-listening, remember that the purpose of the pre-listening activities are to activate the schemata. We must give students a reason why are they listening, and also they are going to predict what can I expect to hear, and what do I know, why are we listening to this, and what can I expect to hear. So this is the purposes of the pre-listening stage. In the while listening stage, it's as a monitor, no? You are going to check if your students comprehend or not what they are listening. So are my expectations, so from the previous one, notice from the pre-listening, so they expect something to hear. So are my expectations met? Am I succeeding in the task? So if they could understand well or not what they are listening. So this is the while listening stage. And the post-listening stage, it's a feedback. No? Did I fulfill the task? How can I respond? So notice these three important stages in a listening lesson or listening sequence. And today we're going to talk about these activities. What kind of activities can we use in the pre-listening stage? Remember, the pre-listening stage helps our students to prepare for what they are going to hear, and this gives them a greater chance of success in any given task. Pre-listening tasks can set the context of something they are going to listen to, can motivate students to listen, activate background knowledge, help teachers find out about what students already know about the topic, prepare students for the vocabulary and language structures in the test, because you are going to pre-teach some vocabulary or some structures, help mitigate the anxiety which comes from listening in a foreign language by providing a clear context, offer opportunities for class discussion and more interaction among students. So notice all the advantages that we have in order to develop the pre-listening activities. We can activate the schemata, we can motivate our students, we can mitigate, help mitigate the anxiety, oh yeah, all in English, maybe I couldn't understand, If you put the audio at the first, so they're gonna be shocked, So it's very important to prepare some activities, so repeat again, to prepare students to what they are going to listen, all right? Now, the two main stages of these parts of listening lessons are: the first stage involves activating schemata in order to help students predict the content of a listening passage. The second stage involves giving a student a reason for listening, right? So the first, activate schemata to predict the content. And then you have to give a student a reason for listening for a specific information, listening for gist, listening in detail. So you have to give a reason: extensive listening, intensive listening. So you must give them a reason. So let's pass now to analyze the different activities. One of the activities that we could use, and I know that you use a lot, is the visuals. All right, so you have to show your students eye-catching images, maps, or diagrams to help students guess the theme of the listening test. You can show them pictures, all right, photos, and you could ask to your students, so look at the photos. Look at the pictures. No, as I told you before, this is something similar to the reading lesson. No? Remember, we also use this. No, look at the photos, look at the pictures. What would it be the topic about? So they have given some ideas, right? Students can write. Notice here you have a variety. Students can write pre-listening comprehension questions, then listen to see if their questions are answered. So it's not just giving them or ask them to give their ideas. What are asking them to do? To write questions. What questions could you ask about that topic after they gave their ideas, no, using the photos? So you can ask your students to write pre-listening comprehension questions. And then when they listen, they could check if their questions are answered or not. All right, so here you have a variety, you know, just give the ideas and that's it, and then you put the audio, no? So try to make and write questions about a topic, about what they are going to listen, all right? So that's here says, what theme is it? All right, what theme or what topic is it? Now, let's continue with another activity. This is another common activity, yeah, the brainstorming. Yeah? The most basic form of brainstorming consists of revealing the theme of the listening passage, and students make notes on papers before they share their ideas with the rest of the group. Notice, you have to make it more interactive, all right? So they share, notice, they share their ideas that they have written on papers with the rest of the group. You can divide your students into groups, all right? And they could check the information. Ah, okay, yeah, you think that this is the topic. No, I think that this is the topic. So they share their ideas, all right? Not just giving their ideas and that's it, no? So more interactive, students, not just teacher, students, or students, teacher. Students too, all right? Another one, you just again brainstorming and word webs. Give students the topic of the listening and elicit words from them. With the students' help, draw semantic webs on mind maps. Yeah, this is another name for this. Semantic webs on mind maps on the board with the words, focusing the relationships between the words, the topic and subtopics that might come up in the listening. So you could use here, yeah, you give students that theme, that topic of the listening, and with this topic, they are going to give you words, or you can give them some words, no, listen words from them. And then you help, no, with the students' help, you can draw some semantic webs. No? This is like a mind map, semantic webs on the board with these words that they were related, all right? Focusing on the relationships between these words. No? What is the relationship between the word with the topic? No? So you can analyze here this aspect, all right? So they could have a better idea what will the listening test be about, all right? Now, the other activity. Now brainstorming, but board writing. Notice, board writing. So you divide a class in small groups. You have to divide a class in small groups. The groups have to brainstorm ideas related to the topic given by the teacher. The teacher divides the board in small sections, and one representative of each group adds the words the group and brainstorm. So they are going to add words, all right? So you divide the classroom in groups, all right? And also divide the words according to the groups. And one representative of each group is going to add, all right? Is going to add words related to the topic. Oh, you can make it as a context, not a group which gives more words to the topic, wins, all right? So this is another kind of brainstorming. No? Notice again that you are making an interaction among the students, all right? Not just the teacher, yeah? Because sometimes we as a teachers interact with the students, but we don't make our students interact each other. So you must make your students interact each other. This is very important. Now, another use is the visuals again, but what do you think happened? So what are you going to do here? Show a picture related to the listening passage and ask the student to come up with ideas of what happened. Students can work in small groups again and come up with an idea and share with the rest of the class. So for example, you can show these pictures, no? All right, so tell me what happened or what is going to happen according to these pictures. What happened to Ellen or what happened to Justin? So notice that they are going to give you some ideas. No? Again, you can divide your class into groups and they are going to come up with some ideas and share it with the rest of the class. All right? Another again, the visuals. Now we are going to make up a story or create. Make up is create. Make up a story. Provide learners with some pictures and they have to place the pictures in an order that makes sense. You should ask them to write briefly what they think it happened. All right. So here you have this. Again, you're going to give your students some pictures. Yeah. But now they are going to order, you give the pictures in this order, so they must order these pictures in order to make up a story. All right, so you could ask them to write briefly what they think it happened. No? So they have to write this little story, no short story about what they are going to listen, no? But using the pictures. So here says visuals. All right. Another part of visual, time to draw. Provide the learners with a topic and ask them to draw something related to it. Notice no writing. So they must draw something related to the topic. Ask them to provide as many details as they can. As a follow-up, we may wish to display the illustrations for all to see. This activity is especially useful for younger learners. All right, so notice here that they can draw. So yeah, this is the topic. You are going to listen about the environment. Oh yeah, and your students, yeah, write something about or draw something about the environment, climate, and they start drawing, no? Maybe the sun, no? So it's here it says this is more specifically for younger learners, not children. The sun, they could write the sun, or maybe the rain, the drops of water, no, the wind. Notice they start drawing, all right? They start drawing about the topic. The other activity is called Teach Me. Give each student a couple of words and expressions. Ask them to explain the words and expressions to one another in pairs. Quickly check with the whole group and students, then make a short of what they said. Not short story what they said. Notice, you are going to make your students interact again, but now you are checking the vocabulary that they know, the previous vocabulary they know. So they must exchange, all right, explanation about the words. This is like a pre-teaching vocabulary, but you are not going to give them the answers. So they are going to discuss, they are going to check up the meaning, and they are going to explain these words or these expressions each other, all right, each other. Notice, not just the teacher, yeah, this is the meaning of this word, or maybe, no, another common exercise to pre-teach vocabulary is that you give vocabulary and they have to match with synonyms, or they have to match with meanings or definitions. So this is a common exercise to pre-teach vocabulary. But here you have another way, interaction. So they must discuss, they must explain to his partner or her partner some words or expressions. If they don't know, maybe the teacher can help them, all right, in order to check the meaning of the words, all right? And then if you have enough time, no, so you can check and then you can make your students make a short story of what they said, all right? So this is another kind of activity. They can use that list in the while listening stage and take the words they hear in the listening passage. This is to reinforce, no, in the while listening stage. So they recognize the word and tick, no, and tick the words, all right? Another one is the activity called Chinese whispers. Use a sentence or expression related to the theme of the listening. Arrange students in 2 lines. Whisper a word expression to the first in the line, who whispers on to the next in line, and so on, until the last student in the line shouts out the word expression they hear or writes the word expression on the board. Now this is what we are talking about the last class, no? Here we call the broken telephone, no? The broken telephone. So you say a sentence of expression, and this is whisper, no? This is whispered to the next student, then to the next, and then you get to the board, and you must write a sentence. No? So this is called Chinese whisper, and also we call in our context a broken telephone. No? How well you could write a sentence on the word after listening through many other speakers. All right. So remember, this is a very funny activity to do, like a context. Yeah, so you can score points for correct words. No? Now, the other is sing along. Teach students a short song, very short song. It's not a complete song, a whole song, a very short song, or maybe a rhyme or a just chant on a topic related to the test they are going to listen to. All right, and they are going to sing. And they are going to sing. Okay, so notice, this is mostly used for younger children, yeah, because to pre-teach some vocabulary that they are going to listen maybe later in the class, all right? So you're going to teach your students a short song, a rhyme, or just chant about a topic. They are going to listen and also sing. They are going to sing this song. The other one is the graphic organizers. Give students a blank graphic organizer which summarizes the information in the test under headings. Students listen and fill in keywords that they hear in the correct places, right? So here you could use this as a pre or as a while tool, right? So you can give these graphic organizers, analyze the graphic organizers, and try to tell them to guess, no? What kind of information are they going to receive? And also they are going to check, no? Or complete or fill in keywords that they hear in the correct places. No, you can make them listen just a first time, yeah, very fast, and they could complete with keywords, not just some keywords, in order to get the idea of that test, no? Because they are going to complete these graphic organizers. This is another useful activity to get the general idea of listening for gist or listening for a specific information, no? Not in detail. Remember that you have a difference, listening for a specific information and listening for detail. Listening in specific information is related to the keywords. So they are going to identify the keywords in the test. Now, the other activity is controversial opinions. If the listening involves a controversial issue or problem or topic or question such as, no, let's imagine this, what should be the minimum driving age? You know? So let's suppose that you have this topic. So it involves a controversial issue, a controversial question, because some students could have or could have an idea of what age, and the other group has another idea of the age. No, some of them 16, other 18, other 20. So this is controversial. So students then listen to the test and see what opinions are voiced. So they could check their opinions. No? They were right or wrong, right? So this is the controversial opinion. So you must give them a controversial topic or question, and they could give their own opinions, their own point of view, and then listen to the test and see what opinions or points of view are voiced or are talked, no, or are expressed in the listening test. And this is another one. No, this is, I think, for more advanced levels students. You can also have a quick anonymous poll whose results can be revealed at the end of the lesson. You can create a poll, yeah, who's the winner, no? 80% says 18, 40% says 16, no? And you can reveal its result at the end of the lesson, no? To make it more interesting, more challenges. All right, let's pass to the other one. Oh, what happened here? Yeah, okay. Yeah, number 14. Let me read it first. Give students the first lines of the transcript of the listening test they are going to hear, right? They are going to listen. You could even give them the whole transcript and a very little time to read it. And notice here they are going to read fast, quickly, this transcript. Or you could give just the first lines of the transcript. Yeah? So this is another activity to guess, no? To predict, to get a general idea of the listening test. Then work on listening for specific information without students reading the transcript. This is an effective activity for complex text with many details. Yes, if you have here a complex test, a complex listening test, could be a quite long, or it could have some complicated vocabulary or some complicated grammar aspect of structures. So you could give to your student the transcript. You give them some minutes, few minutes, yeah, 2-3 minutes to read it and no more, and you take it out. So they could have a better idea what they are going to listen. So that's why here says, let me read it first, all right? Or you could give them just the first lines of the transcript they are going to listen to, all right? So, but the purpose is when you work with these kind of complex texts, and complex texts with many details, and you think that for your student will be so difficult, complicated to understand, yeah? So you could use that, all right? Now, let's pass to the other one, number 15, mime it. If there is a dialogue in the listening, mime part of it to arouse the students' interest. So you can mime, or you can make your students, no? You can make your students mime a small part of it. Number 16, what do I need to do, teacher? So write instructions in point form for the listening in the wrong order. Notice, you have to write instructions in the wrong order. Ask students to order them. This activity may help relax students for the listening as they know exactly what is going to happen next, all right? So you have to write instructions in point form for the listening in the wrong order, and they have to reorder so they know exactly what they need to do in the listening test, all right? '17, something that we were talking in the strategies, no, remember? Note taking. Discuss that topic with the students and have them brainstorm headings to take notes under. Then brainstorm the sort of transition words they might hear. So they are going to take notes about the brainstorming headings and the sort of transition words they might hear. Oh, yeah, this is the note taking. This is not the note taking when they listen. This is before listening. All right, this is before listening. So they are going to take notes under the brainstorming headings, no? When they give their brainstorming ideas or headlines, and they brainstorm the sort of transition words they might hear. And the transition words are the connectors, right? The connectors, the conjunctions they could hear, all right? In the test, not in the test. Who's who? This is activity 18. Who's who? If students are going to listen to a dialogue with several characters, and of course, if identifying the characters is not going to be one of the tasks in the listening, give them an overview of who's who in the listening, right? So you are going to give a context, some characteristics, some aspects about the characters. The characters of the conversation. This is more related to conversation or dialogue. So you're going to give them an overview of who's who in the listening. And this is very important because maybe they don't know who's the doctor, who's the patient, oh, who is the teacher, or who is the student, so they don't know clear. If you have a lot of characters, notice, if you have a lot of characters in the dialogue, so you could give an overview of who's who in the listening. A dialogue with several speakers can be difficult sometimes, so these tests can help them have a higher rate of success in it. And remember, this is helpful when you have a lot of characters in a conversation. You have 4, 5, 6 characters, so you could explain before listening who's who, what is the role of each character in the conversation or in the dialogue. So they could have a higher rate of success in it. All right. And the last activity that we are going to talk about today, because we're just getting to the end of the lesson, to the session, is true or false. As a teacher, you can prepare a series of statements, some of them true and some of them false. Read these to your students and let them determine if those statements you are making are true or false. Remember, the statements and the sentences must be related to the topic, obviously. So you can write some false and some true statements, and your students have to determine if these statements are true or false about what they are going to listen. Don't corroborate if they are right or wrong. This will help learners to have a reason for listening. So you don't have to tell them, yes, this is true. Yeah, no, this is not true. This is false. No, they have to listen and check if their answers, if they say true, yeah, yes, it's true. Oh, no, I said it's false, but it's true. So they have a reason, they have a purpose for listening to check their own answers, right? So this is a pre-listening activity, okay? So notice here, we have this stage, and we have this stage, pre-listening. Remember, we use this pre-listening as the other lesson or the other skill too, the reading one. This stage is very important to help our students to have an idea of what they are going to listen or what they are going to read, to activate their schemata, their previous knowledge, the background knowledge, all right? Also, it is useful to motivating or give them a reason for listening or for reading. Remember that we have these two, yeah? And they could get more information when they listen to the test. All right, this is the main purpose of these kind of activities. All right, so next class, remember, next class we're talking about the other two stages. All right, the other two stages are the while listening and the post-listening. So we are going to talk about more activities, more activities that we could do in the while listening stage and the post-listening stage. All right? So I think the time is over. I hope you can get some information about it. This is very important. Try to do this in your classes. Try to do this in your classes. Try it, prove it. You can see if it had a good result or not. Yeah, and then you can have a better experience of teaching. All right, so that's all for today, my dear collegiate partners. So we are going to continue next week with the next topic related to listening to, as I told you, the while listening stage and the post listening stage. Take care a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Next
You're
class.
welcome. Thanks
Bye,
for your
teacher.
attention.
See you
Thanks
next
for
week.
your
Next class.
attention.
Teacher.
See you next
Bye,
week.
everybody.
Thank you, teacher.
You're
See
welcome.
you the
You're
next
welcome.
week.
Oh, thank you. Have a nice weekend and also your week. All right. Take care a lot. Take care a lot.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay. Bye-bye. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye, everybody.